thumbs up. It's one thing going well today. Is anybody else having better luck with NanoHub? Like, I saw some people on Wednesday had actually logged in, but for some reason for me, I keep hitting a 404 error. Have you tried? But did you get in?
I'm in today, but I didn't log out from yesterday.
Okay.
I got it on Wednesday.
You got it Wednesday, but now it seems like it works. All right. I'm having trouble with it, so I'll submit a ticket and figure out what's going on. But was there something?
Do you have a different browser you can try, like Edge or Chrome?
I mean, I can try something. I do not have Edge or this is Chrome, but we could do Firefox. See, it keeps sending me to like a redirect, and then it hangs. Are you getting something similar, or no? So then if I get impatient, I say click here, because that's what it says to do. And then I end up, if it loads. Slowly. All right, we'll come back to NanoHub. But so you can always like take these files, like if you like to work on your own computer and not have to worry about accessing online resources, you can like just take it, put it on your own computer and work from there. Are we trying to figure out what's going on or working on other things? I'll check in. Let me check in on everybody and then we'll come back to, yeah, meat and potatoes. This one, this is like the easiest way, and that's why it's set up this way. So I was a small company to do my own things. Okay. It's just clicking a button, like once you do it, you're done. Yeah. Alright, creating accounts. I know it's weird, but I like staring down. Oh, you're in. Yeah. You're creating. Alright, so maybe it's just me. Hopefully. That would be great. So let's in and out.
Right. I'll check it out. Right.
Doesn't seem like rhyme or reason why it works or something. Some other people did it like as soon as class started, and then ballot classes, they did the same thing.
I know sometimes you probably like going to emails and that.
Well, yeah. Were you able to get in?
I was just looking at it.
Yeah. Okay. I know, like, it does work mobile. If you want to try it, you don't have to do it. Go inside. No, you don't have to. You want to like run it on your own. This is fine. Yeah. If you want to like download the whole repository from yourself. Yeah, you can do that. You got the repository. Yeah, you could like get clone, maybe fork clone your Yeah, and at the end of the day, it's all so how you use it. Yeah.
I ordered a repository, plugged into my device.
Oh, okay.
Then I ran a bash to convert everything into the actual Jupyter notebook file.
Oh, you want
It's
it
all
to
marked down.
Yeah, it's all marked down.
And I don't know how to get from marked down to Jupyter, so I just converted everything.
That's fine.
I don't know if there's a better way. obviously know how to open it so that it looks
Yeah.
right.
So Jupyter has those extensions.
So that it's all yeah, if you
Yeah. It's in here.
send me that, right? Here.
Jupytext. That's the one.
Text.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jupy text is like you can open Markdown files as Jupyter notebooks and save Jupyter notebooks as Markdown files. All right, so we're making some progress. Some people, we only had like 2 cases. Who else has like 404 errors like me? Just us 3? All right. We'll figure that out. We can figure out 3 people, I think. But usually, so the Nano Hub, like the people that manage Nano Hub are really awesome. So usually they'll get around, they'll help us like fix these kind of problems. We just have to open up an issue and get it fixed. Okay, so let's. Ooh. I don't love that. Why is this giving me so much problems today? Even my own. What? All right, I'm having all kinds of trouble today because now even my own version is having some mismatched stuff. Just need a second. Updating something. There we go. Oh. There we go. Phew. Get a peek under the hood of all the stuff that goes into like building this and managing it. Okay, so we have interacting with Python. How do we interact with Python? What are we doing here? Like, what is, let's figure this out first. Like, what is Python? Like when someone says, I made it in Python, what did they do? Yeah. Yeah, it's a coding language, and it has like all these libraries and software to kind of support it, but it's your main, like, your interface with the computer is now, instead of clicking with a mouse or opening windows, it's lines of Python code. So it's a way of you to like tell the computer what to do. And it's really powerful. I think it's very fun to use. So then we're using Jupyter to run Python. What is Jupyter then? What would Jupyter be called? A software? Yeah. Is Python a software? Kind of language that uses software. Yeah.
Jupyter is a notebook, Python is a language.
It's a notebook, yeah. Okay. So Jupyter is like a way of keeping track of Python language. You can use Jupyter for other languages too, but in this case, Jupyter, Python, they're like best buds. So what is Jupyter like?
It's like a
Compiler. So the Python language has its own. It's called a kernel, and that's the stuff that's like taking what we say, turning it into zeros and ones, and having the computer sort of compile and run. It's called like pre-compiled because you have a whole bunch of stuff that's like ready to go and execute. So Jupyter is a little different than that. Yeah.
development environment.
Like an environment. So yeah, the development environment is another way. So some people call it the IDE, like an interactive development environment. Visual Studio Code is another like interactive development environment. Notepad could be your interactive development environment. It's just the least interactive of all programming tools because you type out code, you hope it's going to work, so you save it and then you run it. So Jupyter is a nice way of like mixing what you want to do, how you did it, and then your interpretation. Like you can get the whole cycle of your thought process all in one page. So here, interacting with Python, we're interacting with Python with Jupyter. Last time we looked at Hello World, I think we printed it and then we ran out, like something broke along the way. Have you used Python like as a calculator before? Has anyone? Yeah. So if I run, and this is a little bit about like since we're using Jupyter, I'll give you a quick tour of like some things that are weird about Jupyter and some things are like Python. So if I just run a line, say 2 + 2, it gives me 4. But what if I want to save that operation as a variable? What would I do then? Like if I want to save 2 + 2 as x. Yeah, so I can say x equals. Let's zoom in some. What is going to be the output when I say x equals 2 + 2? Right now the output's 4. It should say x equals 4, something like that. Let's find out. I get nothing. It's weird. It seems useless. It's like, what's the point of calculating it if it's not going to show me the answer?
You have to use it elsewhere now. You can just type x rather than saying 2 + 2 every single time.
Yeah, if I want to see like what X was, then I could add another line. So whatever the last line in that cell is, I can use that to say like, all right, show me what happened. Another thing that I could do is print statements. Like I could make it a fancy kind of X is a variable and then sub in the value of X there. And now I have, and then I can make whatever formatting that I want. I can make it X is super cool. I can, so with printing and formatting, you can like sub in outputs that way. Kind of nice. And then we did this one last time, right? I remember talking a little bit. All right. What should this equation equal? 8 divided by 2 times 2 plus 2. What is it? 1? 16? Whoa, that's a big difference.
That's a division symbol, not an addition symbol.
That one's division, yeah. This one sparked like an argument on the internet. One was that it should be 8 divided by everything versus 8 divided by 2 times 2 plus 2. So it could be 16, could be 1, depending on how we're interpreting that division symbol, right? And if we just plug it into Python directly from what we saw in the picture, then we're always going to get the same. Like Python's always going to do the same thing. It doesn't like confuse how you design it. So just be careful with where parentheses are. Sometimes people put like tons of parentheses. Of just like, all right, I want to make sure that this is definitely a 2, and that this 2 definitely gets added to this 2, and it's like, oh my god, that's a lot of stuff. And then maybe they would even throw like an extra parentheses here. It's not going to change anything, but man, it gets hard to read. It gets hard to keep track of parentheses after a while. You can, let's see, does this work? I don't know if this is super helpful, at least in this case, but if something's in parentheses, you can like bump it down onto another line, and then brackets are the same way, and we'll play with those when we deal with like some linear algebra stuff. All right, how are we doing so far? Do we need to move faster? Is this too slow? Or, because I was trying to do like a little tour of tips and tricks, but you want to jump into problems, get some hands-on work? All right, let me try it. Okay, so we're gonna calculate properties of this rectangular box. we need volume, we need density, and then figure out, is the volume more than 1,000? Is that a true statement or a false? Yeah, I guess those are the only two options. Or undefined, I guess, would be the other one. So what do you think? How would you approach this? Check it and do like little check-in. Okay, so create 3 variables, multiply them all, put them in a new variable. Okay, I like that. Same thing, 3, so 4 variables. Oh, that's what you do. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. All right, so I didn't check in with everybody, but let's try what we saw so far. We say L is 12.5, W is 11, H is 14, and now volume is L times W times H. Cool. All right. There's the volume. What's the volume? What do we want? Now what do? We have a value of volume that should be our volume, but what do we want to do with that? How do we could print it, yeah. Print V 1925 units. What are the units here?
Square inches.
Yeah, like cubic inches, right? For volume? Yeah. Yep. I'm like, square, what? But so at least if it was me, I would do minimum kind of inches cubed. You could print both the value and the inches cubed. Again, we could get fancier. I'm gonna be real fancy. I print out volume is and choose how many significant figures I want to use. So I don't want anything after that first sig fig. So density, what do we want to do there? We have volume calculated. We already have V saved it. We did a lot of the pre-work. We just need M, or weight. Let's put it up here. Was it 31 pounds? So I just realized, like, as I was doing stuff. Yeah.
That's not density. Weight is a unit of force. You would need to find the mass.
Okay.
You need to convert it to
Yeah.
like pound mass.
Okay. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Technically.
Technically. Oh.
Force over volume is not important.
So the U.S. system is very weird because pounds is a unit of force and it is the base measurement, but we also have a pound mass, which is equal to 1 pound force. Yes.
I thought it's
1 pound mass is the amount of mass that you need to create 1 pound of force, which
It's
is
actually-
it's very confusing. Yeah.
I think it has a conversion of 32 actually. Like it's because it's
Yeah.
like
You need to convert it with that 32.2 when you use, oh my god, and I always like mix it up. So when do you need, because you have to use that
Using gravity, right?
when you use is it with gravity? No, I can't remember. Because
they're not equal to 1 to 1.
well,
Like,
so
there's a conversion factor.
so like if I take 31 pounds divided by 32.2, like about 1, that's not 1 pound. That's 1 slug. And 1 slug is the amount of mass for 1 pound. But there's also a 1 pound mass. Our system gets so confusing so quickly. The main lesson here is like keep track of your units. You can call, like, US system is confusing, so we did our due diligence to begin with, calling it like inches cubed, and now we're saying like it's density in pound per inch cubed. If we want to use slugs, we can do that. Like if we want a real then we want mass down here. Then we would call it 0.0005 slugs per inches cubed. And that would give us, like, when you multiply mass times gravity, you get the actual weight in pound force. Yeah. Anyway.
I think it's just confusing, like LBF with LBS, like you have our units there.
Yeah.
So like LBS is like 430 something grams, which is the correct like unit you're talking about, not LBF.
Yeah.
I mean, what you have is correct for like pound per cubic inches is fine.
Yeah, pound per cubic inches. It's a common. Normally, that's what people are looking for. Like when they say, like, give me the density, and they're expecting pounds, like as like a force measure per volume. But it's okay. Like slugs is kind of like if you're looking for the actual mass. Like how do I use mass in this equation? Or like density, slugs ends up being the term that we. But nobody measures things in slug. Like nobody has a scale that measures slugs. I don't know. It's a weird system. I didn't make it up, but I try to figure out ways to work around it. Okay, now volume more than 1,000. What is this going to give us? What is that one called? This one's just like an operation. What is that? A true? Yeah. And here, I don't have to actually, I can just say V more than 1,000. If it's my last line of code, I can just say it. What's like the general term for a true statement? What is that called? Have you heard that before? A Boolean. Yeah, it's either a true or a false. And all trues are ones and all falses are zeros. And we'll get back to that, but right now, we'll do it right now. So there's capital Python, lowercase python. Which one is bigger? Neither? Yeah. Shouldn't they be equal? Are they equal? Yeah. Yeah, if it's letters. Yeah, would it be length? I don't think it is length.
The ASCII characters, like alphabetical, I think that the uppercase characters come after the lowercase ones in the ASCII system.
So it goes lowercase then uppercase
I'm not sure.
for ASCII? Yeah, yeah.
I think something with ASCII.
So there's the actual like length of the string, and that one you can get with like length. So if you're asking for length, but the less than, more than is actually a way to organize. Like if you're trying to sort files, like you've done an experiment 1,600 times and you label them all experiment A, experiment B, experiment C. Now less than, more than is helping you organize like A, B, C. Yeah, so there was this idea, so these are all like ASCII. What does ASCII stand for? I can't remember. But just characters on the keyboard. They're all saved still as zeros and ones, so they're all more than or less than each other. Like they're all some kind of character bit or byte. Sorry, one byte is like one character. So character number 3000 might be an E with a little accent on it or something. All right, did you already try this? Do you already know if this is true or false? You do know? Is it true? It's true? It's true. Why is capital Python is less than lowercase Python? What does that tell you about how all these characters are organized? So that means we could do another test. A is less than A is true. A is less than Z is true. Let's do Z less than A, still true. So the entire alphabet in terms of like how it's stored on the computer, like how you access it and how you save it, all the capital letters come first and then all the lowercase letters come after. It's just like a fun little fact for computer science, like a little bit of computer science and a little bit of weird IEEE engineering madness. Like you got to choose one. One of them has to be more than the other. So for some reason we chose capital is less than lowercase. So if you're organizing files on your computer, all your capital files will come first rather than the lowercase files. So then everything else should be false, right? If that's the one true statement. At least that's what I think. False. And false. If I want this statement to be true, what could I do?
Add a dot upper
Ooh, make them both uppercase, right? Since uppercase always comes first anyway, so make everything uppercase and then compare them. I'm just going to add a comma to look at what happens for those two things. It just turns them both into all capital Python. And if I'm trying to check, like, are those two things the same? They're all capital, they're all the same letters, so they are the same actual values. Did anyone come up with a different way of forcing them to be true? Oh yeah, we could lowercase. That would work. Yeah, if we make lower and lower, that would work. Is there anything like any other ways that you were thinking about? Yeah.
I think you could do like length strings, so it's just a length.
Yeah, if we compare the length of the two. The length is equal, right? Like they're both the same word. It might be, that one might get confusing if you're trying to compare, like, I don't know, you have a list of different programming languages, and it's like MATLAB has the same number of letters as Python, so MATLAB equals Python. Maybe that's what you want. I don't know. Every 6-letter language is the same to you. All just as confusing as the next, except for Python. Python's fun. All right, cool. We got 5 minutes. So we could fix this one. And I'm kind of going one by one to get started. But next class, as you're taking a look at like readings and thinking about the homework, we'll start off by checking in, like, who's working on, what do we want to start with? Where do we want to, what do we want to talk about first? So I'm going to take all this code, plug it in here. There's some kind of error, but I don't know what the error is yet. So I'm just going to run the code. Errors are fine. Like, you should be getting errors when you're trying to do work. Otherwise, you're not really trying anything new. Like, if everything you run is always like perfect the first time you run it, then you're not pushed. Like, you got to try something. Do something hard. And we end at 55, right? So we got 3 minutes. Cool. So now you get a little. I'll give you the tour of an error message. It looks mean and scary, but really it should just be like, whoops. Like, hey, let me help you out. The bottom line is usually the best place to start because that's telling you what happened, like what went wrong. So on this bottom line, it's telling me that there's a type error. So type error is usually something, so in this case, it's even telling us what type of type error it is. It's a string and an integer. You can't use a less than sign to compare different objects. Python's big on objects. We don't have to worry too much about like object-oriented programming, but we do need the basics. Like a string is not an integer, so you can't directly compare a string to an integer. We can convert one to the other, or something. Like somehow we got to fix that. So now we can go back up and see. All right, that happened on this line number 4, on this 4th line. That's where I said x was less than y. And when I come back up here, I see that x is 1, but it's in quotes. So it's like just air quote 1. So it's not really 1, it's 1. So how do you want to fix that? What do you want to do?
Just get rid of the quotes.
Get rid quotes. Okay, I like that. Reached an agreement, no quotes. Which one? Yeah, okay. So, quick way, if we just, since we're just looking at what's called a script, like it just runs line by line, we can get rid of quotes, no problem solved. There's also the option of just like forcing it back into an integer, and then it'll give us exactly what we want. So if this was something like users had entered in information and you can't change what they did, you can. There's also functions where you can change the type into some other type. Cool. All right. Thanks a lot.